folks, and welcome to another live episode of the Elseworlds Exchange. I am Sal.
And I'm Joel.
Hey, today we're going to be ranking Dick Grayson's suits. I'm excited for this because we've done these costume ranking things before. It's a lot of fun. But Dick Grayson, iconic, long-lasting character, has been around forever, and he's had a lot of different looks over the years, as it turns out.
Indeed, yeah. I mean, even more than I thought when we were batting this one back and forth, where it's like, well, I mean, the Dick Grayson book's out this week, so we kind of have that on our mind, and Tom Taylor's run is coming to an end soon, so, maybe now would be a good time to talk about it. And we just shot a couple back and forth, and it's like, oh yeah, I think there's an episode here.
Yeah, I think we've got a show. I think we've got a show, folks. We want to thank you all for being here. Of course, don't forget that this show is sponsored by viewers like you. If you're watching the show live, you can use super chats, ask a question or comment. We'll read it here on the show, and it also helps to keep us honest. You'll be able to reference any other suits we forgot or missed, and we'll jump into it. But that is a big help for us. Also, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Click the bell for notifications so you know when we're going live, so that you can catch these shows when they go live, which is typically on Fridays around 1:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. But yeah, so we're gonna be going. I think we should go from Robin to Nightwing. What do you think?
Yeah, that probably makes a lot more sense. And also, should we even count the flying Grayson costume? Because technically, that's Dick's first costume, isn't it? And also, a suit that is not set in stone, one that often changes. Sometimes it is evocative of the Robin color. Sometimes it's its own thing. It is changed over the years.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, I know. The Dick Grayson suit, which the flying Grayson suit. I mean, first of all, it's his first costume. And I think it normalized him wearing a suit in the first place.
Yeah, it's not weird to him.
It's not weird to him, exactly. He's very much, but it also associates him with a different kind of mentality when it comes to donning a suit, because for him, it's part of the job.
Yeah,
it's like you put on a costume and you go to work. For Batman, it's a tactical uniform. I built this thing. It is one part urban legend to scare the locals and another part tactical, urban warrior suit.
Absolutely.
But when it comes to Dick, he's like, oh, here's your suit. Here's your war suit. And he's like, right on. Yeah, I know. I had one.
And also, too, from a nice historical standpoint, too, forever tying together the history of the superhero and the history of the circus, because they're always kind of one and the same, this, vaudevillian performance we're putting on, the clothes make the man in that regard. And also, Tom Taylor in the newest run actually zeroed in on something very interesting. When Dick Grayson put that suit on as part of the Flying Graysons, he was a performer and he was a star, but he was also part of a team.
Yes.
So he was always sharing the spotlight, even from the very beginning, and it informs the kind of hero that he is. Dick has never been afraid to share the spotlight. And hey, to give another bit of love to Kyle Higgins in his run, it also instilled the idea of heroism in Dick at a young age, because Dick Grayson is the one who catches you when you fall.
Of course. He definitely has in his DNA this mentality of support meets showman meets theatrical performer. It's a fantastic deconstruction of his character, and I think it's why it's worth bringing up. Though I don't think that there's no canon Flying Grayson suit. I think
it's what the artist wanted to draw at the time, which is why they're so radically different.
Exactly. And I appreciate when some people try to incorporate his colors, like his Robin costumes, into the suit. There's a little bit of green. I've seen that quite a bit. The most famous or infamous that I can think of is the one we're using in the show, which is the Jim Lee from All-Star Batman and Robin the Boy Wonder, which they did try and change the name of posthumously. After the book had already been long since abandoned, they started calling it other things, and I'm like, The book was called All-Star Batman and Robin the Boy Wonder. You can't not make that the book.
What you made.
Exactly. But I love the idea of a uniform that Dick was used to. The only thing we don't see that borrows from that concept is the X-menification of suits, where it's Dick has always had his own suit that complements or stands against his teammates, whether that's Batman or the Titans, etc.
Indeed.
It's not like he's ever had a uniform that matches. The Titans don't have like a consistent uniform. They're all a bunch of heroes that are all in one place, like the Avengers. So it doesn't. I'm just thinking out loud where I'm like, oh man, like I wonder if there is a part of Dick that's like, well, we're the Titans, we should have like a Titans uniform that we all wear together, especially if like 2/3 of you guys don't actually have books, so it really doesn't affect you. Like Raven, why do you need to have a Raven suit when you could just be wearing a Titans uniform? I mean, like I'm just look, I'm the jerk.
I'm just spitballing here. You know what the problem is? I think Beast Boy ruins it for everyone because he needs a suit to match everything, and he's going to be transforming a lot.
Yeah. But Beast Boy's the other one, where it's like, no, he can wear, I don't know, like Hank McCoy Beast-esque trunks or the Thing-esque trunks that, like, color match him to the team, but allows him to be like an elephant with big trunks, or no pun intended, of course, or a gorilla with a with a underoo on. I don't know.
And then you got Cyborg, where it's like sometimes artists don't even draw you wearing clothes. Sometimes you're just all cyborg from top to bottom.
Yeah, there's no consistency there, Vic. Sorry.
No, man, is there a character who is possibly more redesigned than Cyborg, where it's like, look, we don't really have any new ideas for you story-wise, but we're going to redesign the shit out of you every couple of years.
Yes. And almost like unwillingly. Like you feel like Cyborg is just kind of like, I'm a leaguer now? Okay. Cool. Oh, I'm going to stay back and guard the base most of the time? Yeah, okay. Keep me away from the Titans because you don't want to remind audiences that that's really where I belong. Okay.
For about a decade before eventually conceding.
Yeah. Well, before eventually we find out that like clearly one person really, really wanted to get Cyborg on the league. And when he no longer like worked for the company, suddenly Cyborg was just back on the league because there were more writers who remember him being a Titan than anyone cared about getting him on the league. But whatever.
And then you also have a really weird point in history where he's on that excellent Doom Patrol show, and he actually really fits and is one of the best things about that, even though he's taking what was supposed to be Beast Boy's place.
Yes. It's so weird how you can imagine, like Cyborg fit better on the Doom Patrol show than anything else.
Mm-hmm.
And yet, DC was like, there was a conversation. You could feel like there was a conversation where they went like, well, I guess we should put him on the Doom Patrol. And they went, but that would mean we'd have to make a Doom Patrol book. So obviously we go pretty much straight from the Flying Graysons to the Robin suit. We didn't rank it. There's no way to rank it. It's the Flying Grayson suits are whatever, and it really doesn't matter.
It's the prototype.
Yeah, and I say like whatever is the more flamboyant the better because he's in the circus.
Absolutely,
just go for it.
And because it's inconsistent, we'll give it an incomplete because it's never the same twice.
Exactly. But then we got the suit.
The classic, the progenitor.
This, no notes.
No.
I have thoughts, and I've seen it interpreted and reinterpreted, obviously Burt Ward had the mask wrap around his head, but pretty much the same. I see with the Jim Lee All-Star Batman and Robin design. There actually R's on his ammo pouches, which just a little detail. It's fungible. We're good. But from the like half length gloves to the pixie booties to the short shorts and the tunic, I don't know why. Even the shorter cape. Like I like a Robin who is kind of like, it's not as long as Batman's. It's actually kind of like shorter so he can do more acrobatics.
You got to grow into the cape. It's like a black belt. When you've fully grown up, you get a full cape. Though he will ultimately end up rejecting the cape later on.
It's true. Yeah. And that's kind of odd. Like actually there are no real, there's like a proto Nightwing suit where he has a cape, but like, it's not the Nightwing, the icon, the silhouette for Nightwing, capeless. And I think that's all because he's like, look, I would wear a cape, but Batman wears a cape and I don't want to be in that shadow.
It's so interesting. He's the original sidekick. He's the trendsetter for so many things. He's patient zero. And I think there's something very, very fitting that the original sidekick is the first one to doff the cape and to be like, no, I'm a new generation. I'm my own man. And part of that is the rejection of the cape.
Absolutely. There is one design that I think stands above the rest, although I think that Jim Lee nails it. Like when Jim Lee drew it in All-Star Batman, honestly, All-Star Batman may be some of the best work of Jim Lee's entire career.
Yeah. A shame the writing is so when the art
It's
is nice.
well, it's at least it allows the book to be infamous. Like if it was written by a lesser writer or a less bombastic writer, it would just
would have forgotten it by now.
Yeah, it would have just been like, oh, here's some cool posters. But now it's like, look at some cool posters, and also, have you read this thing?
It's infamous. You could have been famous, but now you're infamous.
Exactly. But I want to pull out Jose Luis Garcia Lopez's Robin suit. This is the Robin I think of every single time. Now there are a couple of differences.
This is the one that belongs to pop culture. Yeah,
this is it. This is Robin. And I also like it because of obviously it's Lopez's design. Robin is clearly 19. He is too old for this suit. Yeah. It's essentially Titan's Robin. Like, this
but he's still rocking it anyway, which he did for a long time.
Well, he's just, I mean, look, he's got it going on. He's in the best shape of his life. He wants everyone to see the gams. I don't blame him. You know,
we also got to talk too. Haircut. Dick will actually change his haircut with the times in a way that other characters simply do not. Again, in the era it is right now, this is very classic. This is very, golden age. So he's got, he's got a haircut you could set your watch to, because he's a good, honest American crime fighter with a good, honest American haircut.
That's right. He's got the dry look, and it looks and it fits. It works. I will also point out that there are a couple of things that we need to note. For one, the belt.
Yeah.
I love this black belt with the yellow buckle.
Works, doesn't it?
None of this should work. I'm looking at it right now, and I'm like...
It's so much clashing.
All of the things that I don't like about modern suit design is almost on display here. There's just a lot of ideas going on. This in no way complements, like, it's not like this is in some way an inversion of Batman or anything. It's just, it's a nightmare. He looks like a Christmas tree.
It doesn't look anything like a Robin. What Robins do you know that look like this? So already there's nothing avian, nothing bird-like. At least Batman with the cape and the cowl and the pointy ears.
He has a picture of a bat on his chest. That's just an R. That is just the first initial of his character name.
Could be anything. He could be Rodney for all we know.
Exactly. We don't know. I mean, certainly nothing else about his design tells me about birds, but I love it, and I think it's just reinforced nostalgia. This is something that's been hammered in. This is what Robin looks like and has looked like since 1940.
Yeah, it's part of the pop culture DNA. It's part of the zeitgeist. When you think sidekick, you think this. When you think superhero, you think this. And again, the crazy thing too is they came up with this in year 2 of Batman. Batman had been around for a year, and then in year 2, it's like, okay, time to reinvent the wheel again.
Well, and it makes me wonder, like, what are the influences here? Like, what are the 1940s influence or late 30s influences? Obviously, he was invented in the 40s, but he's being formed by the 30s or earlier. I can imagine, based on his name, they're thinking Robin Hood, but again, nothing about this says Robin Hood.
Doesn't have a hood, doesn't have a bow.
And what's odd is, like, we also have this selective, like, armor, right? Because we have this tunic that he wears, which I really appreciate with the Garcia Lopez image. We see, like, without the cape.
That's probably the most medieval Robin Hoodie thing, the fact that it's a tunic, and Batman doesn't have a tunic.
Hell no! But Robin does have armored shorts, right? Because that's what else would those scales indicate?
Well, you gotta protect your junk.
America. That's like a cup. I assume it's scale mail like Captain America's armor. But it's also inconsistent because, like, only his shorts are armored. Sleeves, gloves, booties, cape, nothing else has scale mail. It's just, there's a lot going on. He's got this the collar that affixes the cape to his suit,
which means he's got to iron it.
He's got to iron it. Yeah.
Well, Alfred irons it. Let's face it.
Yeah, but a lot of people I've seen neglect the collar.
Indeed,
like the collar is also integral. Like it's almost like a suit. You know, like it's very proper looking.
He's a fancy lad.
I'm baffled. And then, of course, there's the pixie booties. To invoke what? Elves?
It's more Peter Pan than anything.
Yes, which if we go on that journey for a minute, is exactly what we need, right? Because, like, Batman is wish fulfillment. Robin is the ride-along character for children. Robin is an icon. He is a character. That Dick Grayson is Robin, but you're supposed to be Dick Grayson as the child reading it. Robin is a character who will be a little boy that never grows up.
And
so,
yet
like,
he did.
yes.
And yet
he
did.
did.
And yet he's the one little boy who did grow up. So in many ways, he is the anti-Peter Pan of superheroes. If anything, his other brothers are in more states of arrested development because he got out and got out from under it in such a huge way.
Yeah. Yeah, he did get out. I'm saying, like, I don't know if they made another, and when they deviate, like when they make other Robin suits, and they've done that before. I've certainly seen, like the Earth 2 version of both Dick and Jason's suits, notwithstanding, when they change it but keep the color scheme, you pull one thread, the whole damn thing comes apart.
It's uncanny valley. We'll get to the new 52 at some point, but I think that's a perfect example of like, no, you went too far.
Right, and when they change it, it pulls the whole damn thing apart. There is one change or one designer that I can cite that has dared to stray from this formula that I have given a pass to, and it's only because everyone gives this artist a pass. He doesn't necessarily need a pass. I'm just saying that, like, when it comes to Dan Mora doing the Batman and Robin, or the Batman and Superman World's Finest book, we're like, okay, yeah, that's Dick Grayson. And of course, again, we're like supposed to assume that that's what basically Dick Grayson demanded he wear towards the end of his career on Batman, right? Like he's older, and yet I'm looking at him, and I think he's definitely older in the Jose Luis Garcia Lopez images than he is in Batman and Superman. But like, yeah, and having talked to Mark Waid about the like run on Batman and Superman, I can say that a lot of the design decisions are made by Dan Mora.
Really?
And the Dan Mora, like, kind of the decision to give Batman the extra little loopies that V. Neil put into the Batman suit in Batman '89.
Yeah, he does have those, doesn't he?
Yeah, it's all Mora, and just like basically Waid would get these pieces and of art and see it and go like, yeah, okay, that looks awesome. But when you look at like the design, right, like we've got a lot of things kept.
Very much.
The tunic, we've enhanced the belt, but we are still honoring the belt because it's got the little.
It's closer to Batman's now. He's older now, so he needs more things.
We still keep the booties. We still keep the sleeves that pop out of the tunic. We still have the little like yellow stitching from the over the tunic. We got the cape. We even have the collar. We got everything except he has long pants.
He's got pants now, which again, Batman the Animated Series, same deal. It was the Robin costume, but he was in college and he was wearing pants.
He was wearing the Tim Drake suit. I mean, like, essentially, Dick Grayson in the Batman Animated Series suit was just like, just put him in the Tim Drake suit, but change the R.
And that shade of blue they apparently could never recreate again.
Oh, yeah. But that worked on its own, and it's also an animated show. I give the animated things a pass. By the way, folks, we're also talking about the comic book versions and not like alternate movie and TV and cartoon.
That's a whole other conversation.
It's a whole other conversation. But before
which we might have one day.
Exactly, no question. But before we rank the Dan Mora reinterpretation, I think we got to go with the classic suit and tell us like how we rank it. And by the way, when it comes to ranking, we usually use the like video game tier, where it's essentially like a grade book. It's A through F, but above A there is S tier. So S being the top, absolutely unflappable, can't beat it, that kind of thing. So where do we rank the original suit, the OG Robin suit that is interpreted occasionally by people like Garcia Lopez and Jim Lee?
I mean, I think you have to give it the S tier because it created the entire idea of what a sidekick costume could be. Robin is part of the pop culture fabric, the same way, friggin' Watson is to Sherlock Holmes, the great sidekicks of history and of culture and of media and everything. I mean, and like we said, it shouldn't work. It works in spite of itself, and that almost makes it more amazing when we sit back and reappraise it.
That's true. Yes. No argument from me. S tier. I'll also say this is one of those rare costumes that you can put into live action, and it doesn't get lost in translation.
No, and they
Like,
should really
Burt,
do it more often.
Right? Like, Burt Ward's suit for Robin is it's the suit. It's just the only difference is that he has leggings on, which, like, that's fine. That's fair. You know,
he'll get cold.
He'll get chilly. You know, but also, you know, it's iconic in its own right. It works.
You know, the colors pop in real life.
They do. They pop right off the screen. So yeah, I'm gonna say S tier as well. So that's the original OG suit, which is occasionally interpreted by different great artists of the time. Yeah. So let's say S. But then we got the Dan Mora suit, which is the which is the retconned kind of later day,
pretty new
version, but like it's the suit with green pants on.
It's the one you remember. I mean, I would give this one a solid A. I mean, you know, it doesn't reinvent the wheel because it doesn't have to. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. I mean, more busy, more happening belt and some pants is about all you need. Also, sometimes the domino mask changes colors too. Sometimes it's green, sometimes it's black.
Yes. Do you have a preference?
Not really. In fact, I barely even notice it until we see so many of them back to back together, and I'm like, oh yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I
think maybe for a younger or for an older Dick, he should adopt a black one because, you know, he wants to be a little bit more like Batman.
Yeah, I prefer the black, but I always excuse the green. I remember noticing it mostly with Tim's suits, especially in the 90s, where I was like, when you get really close, and I'm like, oh, it is green. And I like the idea that, like, it's always been green, but in the shadows, it mostly picks up as black. And I'm like, that's cool. But yeah, with Dan Mora's design, it is just it's the same suit, but with his style and with green pants, but also with the tactical enhancements, like the inexplicable tube things, that the rods that Batman also has on his suit. I dig it. I don't know if I love the green pants, and the reason why I have a problem, if any, with it, is because that's Tim's purview. The idea to give Robin long pants and green long pants that's Tim's outfit. Like, when you make those changes, you're essentially just aping off of what Tim had. Yeah. And so for me, I'm like, that's like part of the reason why people like Tim Drake's suit is because of his pants.
Right.
And so as a result, you're like, when you give them to Tim, or when you give them to Dick, it's kind of Tim erasure. A little bit. I don't mean to make that kind of
and you're a big Tim fan, I know.
I'm a big Tim fan, and part of the reason why I like Tim so much, especially as a kid, is because that suit is fire. We're not here to talk about the Tim Drake suit, but
he'll have a whole episode to himself, I'm sure.
Exactly. But I'll say A because it is not distracting. I've seen worse attempts to modernize and retcon what Tim Drake or what Dick Grayson wore as Robin. Right? Like, we've seen like New 52 Robin suits.
Yes, this is a very respectful one. This is one where, you know, Mora clearly thought a lot about it, and, you know, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Exactly. So yeah, I'll say A. But like, let's have a look really quick at the New 52, like what Robin used to look like suit according to the New 52.
Too much red.
Like, first of all, that is essentially Robin 3000 meets Robin Tim Drake 90s suit.
We got those ugly armored collars that was in everything at the time.
Everybody got those collars. The implied belt, where it's like, no, there's no belt, but there are pieces on the suit that would be where a belt would go. You got the armor boots. You got armor. First of all, armor everywhere, which, again, like, if you were to have like a meeting, like a conversation where you're like, how are we going? Like, I'm going to invoke I'm going to bring a child into my war on crime. I'm going to put that kid in a completely, like, you know, full body armor suit because, like, essentially what you're doing is horribly irresponsible and you shouldn't be doing it in the first place. So barring that, you want to put him into essentially the equivalent of like a tank.
Yeah, which again, it kind of flies in the face of his character. Isn't he supposed to be an acrobat? Isn't he supposed to be speedy and stealthy and graceful? Wouldn't this stuff slow him down like a motherfucker?
Oh, absolutely. But when you see it, it's just like, that's just Tim's suit with more crap on it.
Yeah, that's the thing too. It's too busy. It's not broken up, and that was a big problem with a lot of the new 52 suits, where it's like
Yes.
you've broken the flow of color now. Now I am just seeing big swaths of red and big globs of green
Yeah.
and everything there. It doesn't flow. There's no harmony.
There's nothing iconic about it. Like you've taken
No,
this iconic idea and then you just add to it. You just putting things on it. And
the
like
Robin crest has a green background now.
yeah, there's no skin showing outside of the neck up like Batman. Or at
Which
least rather
robs the character of a lot of his humanity, because at
Mhm.
least when you could see skin, it's like, no, I'm human, I'm flesh and blood under all of this.
Exactly. It's a lot. It's a lot going on like everything with the new 52.
Hmm.
I'm gonna say it's like at least it's not a different color scheme.
Yeah,
So, that saves it from an F, but it is a D. Like for
yeah.
me, it never I would never accept it, and I don't think anyone really did. I remember
No, they
very
didn't.
like newer fans were excited because I think they were probably like for some people I can imagine, coming into the hobby or the fandom cold, they're kind of like, well, I'm really worried about being judged and I want to be like I want it to be as cool as humanly possible so I feel, good about what I'm doing here. And I'm like, look, the first thing you need to understand as a comic book reader is you need to check cool at the door.
Hey,
Um,
for real. Well, you'll be
like
a lot happier.
right, like this is it cool if you saw it in real life? No. If you see it on the page, compare it to booties, short shorts, and like a popped collar. I guess objectively speaking, armor is cooler than a collar, and yet it certainly is less iconic.
Yeah, and exactly, the booties and the short shorts, they had shelf life, they had
Yeah.
cachet. This has no shelf life and
No.
cachet. This disappeared almost as quickly as it came. And also,
Yep.
furthermore, we barely saw much of Dick as Robin during this era because they couldn't actually figure out the history of the goddamn Robins at this point. Who was who
Yep.
was what was going on. They didn't know what was going on. So they
No.
basically didn't even try most of the time.
Well, and I understand why, because they were probably like, "Oh my god, like there's a lot of inconsistency and we have to like explain to artists and writers who are asking us for marching orders and for suggestions and for like just actual, basis for compare like what is it? Where are we going with this and what is the baseline?" And they're like, "I don't know."
How do we have 4 Robins in 5 years? How did all of this happen
Right.
in
And they're
such a
like,
short amount of time?
"Yeah, we didn't think of that. We don't care. We just wanted it to be done." So yeah, we got that. For me, I don't accept like armor for raw. Like there's nowhere to go. Is the
No.
point? Like you have to evolve, and like whereas Batman is iconic regardless of which era he's in because he's Batman, and you're not going to really stray. You get things like Azrael, which is
Mm.
not necessarily iconic so much as it is accepted or has nostalgia. But but even Batman like evolves, right? Like, and thankfully he hasn't become. It's not like Iron Man where it's like Batman gets more shit every
Yeah.
10 years. But with Robin, I like the idea that you know Dick Grayson had this booty suit. He eventually grows up and throws that crap in the garbage. And because Robin is like an icon at this point, or at the time of, Dick Grayson's ascension, the suit doesn't change. The boy in the suit does, but as far as everyone is concerned, pop culture wise, Robin is the same.
Yeah.
And so when Jason dies in that suit, Batman puts the suit in the glass, not just to immortalize this child soldier he let die, but also to retire that concept and that mantle. Like he's like, that suit, you will not see anyone in that suit ever again.
Until we did.
Well, even then, no. Like, I mean, Tim put it on, but Tim was never truly Robin until he got his own suit.
Right.
And when we decide to acknowledge, like, okay, we do need to get Robin is going to come back, we need to make some upgrades. And it's not necessarily just because it's the 90s, but also because, like,
Never again.
the last time the kid was in that suit, he died. He didn't have enough, And so you'll see, like, when you look at like the Tim Drake suit, like he has ammo pouches, or he's got a tactical belt. He has tactical access everywhere,
You-
So
You're so totally right too in the pop culture zeitgeist about the boy in the suit always being the same. I remember quite vividly a time when I had a conversation with my own father and I had to explain to him, no, there's been multiple Robins over the years. It wasn't always Dick. He's like, really? Why? It's like, well, because you can't be a boy wonder forever. Eventually, you have to grow up. And there was this real like moment of like epiphany on his face. Where it's like, oh yeah. I guess so. I'm like, yeah, true enough. And then they get to grow up and be other things. And, they move out of the Batcave and they come back when they need to do laundry and shit.
Right, exactly.
And for the big events and Christmas.
And for the big events. And yeah, exactly. So when Dick decides, okay, I'm not going to be Robin anymore, he essentially leaves that suit behind, but he never really evolves outside of that. Like, that's like, as far as retconning is concerned, yeah, he also had pants at some point. And then Batman throws those away, and then Jason inherits the original Robin suit, and Batman never gives him pants again, or whatever. For us, as far as this is concerned, let's just say that Dick Grayson had essentially one suit his entire career, and then decides to become Nightwing. And the first Nightwing suit it's a statement.
Very much so.
It's a massive statement, and we've seen it interpreted many different ways, but like, let's not forget what it always looked like when it first appeared.
Yes.
Which is this.
The big color, aqua levels of blue. Again, all the ideas are there, all the hallmarks are there, but did it need refining? And it would be refined over many years. That's what I kind of like about the Nightwing suit, where it's like, you didn't get it right the first time, but you kept trying.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, as far as the character's concerned, like, in his own mind, it didn't work, right? Or at the very least, like, it needed refinement. As far as the audience was concerned, he nailed it.
Oh, yeah.
Because it was embraced.
Absolutely.
People were excited about this concept.
It captured a moment in time, too, where it's like, yeah, this is, a symbol of rebellion, against Batman and everything. This is, a statement, like you said. This is growing up. This is moving on in a way that characters like this were just never allowed to at the time. Again, Nightwing, always the trendsetter.
Oh, yeah, exactly. And it's funny, when he left, Batman's employ, or at the very least joined the Titans and led the Titans, as far as he was concerned, like, he was still Robin. Like, he wore a Robin suit.
Yes, he
and
did.
It wasn't until later that he abandons it and becomes Nightwing. A character, by the way, that is not
Kryptonian myth.
A Kryptonian myth, to make him a more distinctly DC character. And when I say more, I don't mean like necessarily he wasn't before, but like, he's now steeped in the
lore.
In the lore, right? Like, he is a byproduct of both, like, Superman's influence and Batman's influence.
Absolutely.
But he got that suit, and it's like, yeah, there's a lot going on. The mask is, we've seen the mask like that before. This like full kind of like face mask. It's
more angular, more pointy.
Yeah. If you want to go a little more meta with it, it's like what a kid would design for himself if he wanted to establish himself as a man.
His hair is getting longer and a little messier now too, which I like. Nightwing will continue to grow his hair for the next couple decades.
That's true. It's funny you mention that, because you also brought up the fact that, like, he had the well manicured hairstyle, but now Alfred isn't presumably there to cut his hair for him, and it's like, I do like how it looks. Like, it does look a little more unkempt, and it does send a message that says, like, hey, like, maybe I'm a little dangerous.
Corey says it's cool.
Exactly. And well, Corey has like hair literally down to her ankles, so you understand why. But the disco suit, you got the plunging V, which isn't nearly as plunging as people suggested, but like,
it's not Nomad.
It's not Nomad. It ain't Nomad. But you got the popped collar, which of course, people call it like a circus outfit because he's from there. But again, like, I think certainly he was more modestly dressed as a flying Grayson than he ever was as the first Nightwing. He's got the boots, which are very much like Batman's. There's nothing about this suit that says anything, is my thing. It's not like, what is a Nightwing?
Exactly. Yeah, they have not settled on the iconography of the suit, nor will they for a little bit. And even once they decide on the iconography, they'll move away from it. Sometimes he's clearly got a bird on his chest. Other times it's just a V.
Oh yeah, yeah. Should we get into that now? Like, which do you prefer? Do you prefer bird or V?
Oh man, yeah, that's an excellent question. I mean, he had the bird in the cartoon, right? It was that I think that was my first exposure to it was the bird.
It
So
was
the
like from the shoulders, and then it became a bird. Like the V was also a bird.
Yeah, you could see the wings and everything on it. They were kind of notched and everything. That will always have a special place in my heart because it's the first one. It's the one that's burned into my mind and everything. I don't have a problem with the V. Honestly, the V is fine, and I'm sure it's a lot easier on the artist to not have to draw something so ornate every
Totally.
single time. And again, it's sleek. It's
Yes.
sleek and it's smooth. And again, and it speaks to Dick as a character. He's showy, but he's not that showy. You can boil him down to just his core aspects and the fact that the character has been around so long and has had so much iteration and iteration. Whereas no, we can boil him down just to a silhouette, just to these parts, and everyone knows who he is.
Yeah, but even then, I know that like with the animated series, they were like it was all about silhouette, and for him, it was just like he is man. There is no silhouette; it's just black, and then like this big splash of color of bright blue, and I like it, but there was very little going on. It was just kind of like here's.
He did have the hair, though. He had long hair in that, which he did in
Yes.
the comics as well. He had finally, fully embraced his long, flowing hippie hair.
It's true. Before we get into the look that I think people actually think might be worse than this, and I vehemently disagree. How do we rank the first 1984 Nightwing suit?
It's grown on me in terms of nostalgia. I would give it a C. It's not there yet. Shows room for improvement, and improve they would.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna go B. I think that like without it walked so every other look could run.
Kind of did,
but it's so like because when readers first saw it, I think they'd never seen anything like it before, and it blew their minds. It was like, whoa, like that's Robin.
I guess you do got to give it its flowers historically, because again, Robin, Nightwing, Dick broke the mold yet again from the first sidekick to grow up, move out, take a new name and a new costume for themselves.
Yeah, I mean, I'll take C, but I think it deserves at least something. Although I will say it is also equally, like its predecessor, it's baffling.
Yes,
I'm like, I don't know where you came up with this idea. I don't know why you think that this is the look. There's a lot going on. You got but we do move into, his suit was green and yellow, and now it's blue and yellow. Like we replaced the green with the blue, but aqua blue.
Right, again, a shade that he would never have again, which is very indicative of the era. Again, disco, rhinestone. That's kind of what it is.
Absolutely. So yeah, I think B or C is worth that. Before we move into the 90s, let's read a couple super chats, which have their own suggestions. Denial, since you brought up Tom Taylor, folks, stop harassing the man. This has gotten out of hand. Yes, people have been being really weird with Tom Taylor on social media. Just don't be weird.
Why are they so weird? I really don't get it. Like with some creators, it's like, yeah, I can understand why people would get all up in their arms about it. But with Taylor, it's like he just seems like a nice, normal dude who doesn't aggravate it. What is the problem here? I do not understand it.
I genuinely don't know. I'm not interested in finding out, honestly. I don't care what people's justifications are, but I will say, just like, if you have a predisposition to be like, I'm gonna print out a picture of this man and set it on fire, or I'm gonna contact him personally, or I'm gonna dox it. Like these are all like, you should know that these are not normal behaviors, and you should seek professional help. So Extra Medium says, I'll always have a soft spot for the Grayson spy outfit. Before that, I always considered Nightwing Diet Batman, but that that book made me take the character seriously. Interesting. That is interesting. So I know a lot of folk were like, they couldn't believe the change in Dick Grayson. They also were not welcoming of Jason and replacing Dick with anybody. But I think also people were excited that Dick was moving on, that he was becoming his own superhero. But I think that's interesting that people viewed him as Diet Batman. I think it's because he never really did go out on his own. Like there, he definitely had his own book. They had friction. It was never as tumultuous as as they depicted in the animated series.
Yes, old wounds and such.
Exactly. That show was very dramatic about Batman and Nightwing's relationship, and in the comics, thankfully, it's not nearly as bad as that. But
No.
I think that because Nightwing appeared in a lot of seminal Batman stories around
Indeed.
the time of like the early 2000s, it didn't help to differentiate Nightwing as his own hero. Josh Rowland, Payday. Here's some love for my favorite comic casters. Thank you, Josh.
Hey.
Current run has to be the best looking comic I've read about Nightwing. Yeah, man, it's
Redondo, man.
Yeah, Redondo is Redondo. It's good stuff, and I love how it looks. I love his design for Nightwing. It's top.
Reinventing the visual language of what you can do with a Nightwing book and a superhero book in general, to where for multiple issues the art will just completely take control.
Yep. Hey, with the face, Disco Wing is the best Nightwing suit. I'm glad you dig it.
I do like it has a name. I do like we, as fans, colloquially call it the Disco Wing suit.
Yeah, I don't know what the hell we call the next one, but we'll get into it. Hulkzilla, I'm a sucker for the red and black combos, so the New 52 suit is my personal favorite, even though it's not iconic. Have a great weekend, you guys. Hulkzilla, that's an interesting point, because I think while I don't like the red and black suit for Nightwing, it is essentially just the same suit, but red.
Yeah.
So like it should be by all rights iconic, and yet somehow it doesn't work. And I think it's because it just ain't Nightwing. Nightwing never had that.
It is indicative of the laziness of the New 52 in my mind, where if we just got to change one thing, let's change this. I'm like, well, that was nothing. That was a lateral move. You didn't do anything. You barely changed the goddamn thing. And furthermore, and I stand by this, I said it back in the day and I'll say it now, red and black color schemes like that makes him look like a villain. Yes. Especially sometimes too when the mask was right too. I'm like, that is what a villain wears. In fact, it looks very close to his Renegade suit, which he wore when he tried to pretend to be a villain and infiltrate Deathstroke and all of them. It looked really close to that.
Yeah, too much. Cat Lawyer will defend for treats. I've taken the Nightwing's costume for granted. How do you feel about him being Batman? I feel like all the Robins are too much of their own person right now to do that change. Interesting. Obviously, he's been a great Batman. I've never thought it was ever long enough.
No.
And as much
Morrison
as there
is pretty short when you stop and think about it.
Yeah, and there are Dick Grayson Batman suits from Batman Prodigal to the Black Mirror. But even then, it's just Dick in a bat suit.
It's the jawline is what does it. That's the thing. He doesn't have a jaw like an anvil like Bruce. He has the jaw of a younger man is what he has.
Yeah, which is cool. And it's a cool look, but it's also super subtle.
Yes.
Just some guy with a mustache. I'm a fan of the Dick Jason suit with the gams, if only because it makes it even more important when Tim dons the iconic suit. That's how I feel, man. That's exactly right. You know, when Tim gets those pants on, it's like Robin has now moved into the modern age. Like Dick Grayson abandoned it and became a character. Tim took the character and moved it into the next phase.
Batman is frozen in amber. He will always be immortal, but Dick grows up with us, the reader.
That's right. Cam says, I hate every video game version of the Nightwing suit. Putting him in a bulky tech armor misses the point entirely.
Justice does it. Arkham does it.
Yeah, we were talking off mic about how we weren't going to include any of the Gotham Knights suits because there's nothing to talk about.
They're mostly bullshit. They make up several ones and then they use the incorrect names for others, which really pissed me off.
Agreed. Captain Coon, I personally love Dan Moore's upgrade edition to green leggings for Dick when he's older. Yeah, I mean, you're not alone, my friend. In fact, Josh Rowland also says Dan Moore's redesign of the Robin suit in World's Finest is absolutely fantastic. I think that's why we gave it an A. I think I completely agree. Lex of Power. Hi, Sal and Joel. Hey, Lex, how are you? Thanks for your support. I know that this look is not loved, but I like the New 52 Nightwing suit. Just get rid of the red eyes, and I think it's an A tier suit. Catch on the repeat.
It is the eyes. I'm glad we can all agree that it's the eyes that are the problem. Red eyes denote evil and sinisterness there. So when he's a hero with the red eyes, it makes no goddamn sense.
Yes. In fact, just really quick before we get into the 90s version, we can take a look at this New 52 Nightwing suit. This is Nightwing if he were taken over by Ra's al Ghul. This is Nightwing if he were actually Jason Todd. Like this is nothing. I don't like this at all.
He looks evil and they give no reason for the red, which is another thing, because they didn't know Dick's history. They didn't know what was going on. They just knew they needed to change something. So I guess he's red now. But to be fair, I mean, like a lot of the Bat Family characters at that time ended up looking like shit for different reasons. This is when Tim had feathers too over in his book. So I mean, everyone got hit with the ugly stick around this time.
They sure did. I mean, I don't understand what this ribbing is supposed to be from the shoulder blades, or from the shoulders to the neck, or
what is with the neck fascination?
Yeah, this stuff, or like these implied boots. I don't understand. It's just, I don't get why people take something that like is sleek and uncomplicated and then go like, oh, but add some details. Like it's just like it's a holdover from the Image Revolution or something. Like,
and that was the New 52 in a nutshell.
Yeah, it was. But I mean, from the mask design to the red lenses to the red suit to the fact that like, what is a Nightwing? It ain't a real bird.
No, it isn't.
Quit focusing on the bird so much. But this red bird, I mean, this is like one more design away from just the Batman Beyond suit at that point.
Right?
Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, there's a lot that always stuck in my craw about this one, and was so happy when he was finally allowed to just go back to blue.
Yeah, and I'm sure there was an internal fight about that, but I'm going to say
there was, and I know because I talked to quite a few of the creators around that time, and they were pulling their hair out just as much as we fans were, but it was an edict from on high. And also, too, the art in the Nightwing book in the New 52, incredibly inconsistent.
Oh, yeah.
So, like, it was always off model, and it was never 100% right, and it always looked weird.
Well, also, check out his, he's got the Batman, bracers on his gauntlets. Like,
oh, yeah. Which
so
Nightwing doesn't normally have.
Yeah, it essentially looks like he stole a Batman suit and then spray painted. It's like almost like a Miles Morales
situation way before.
Yeah, I don't love it. I'm gonna say it's a C because it's at least it's not. He doesn't have a cape. It could be worse. Is my point. I mean, it's essentially he's a silhouette with a logo on it. Which is with some random accenting, maybe even D, because it's you're doing. The predecessor to this is just the blue suit with where you can see his eyes, and that suddenly changes everything. So I'll say this is a D because you're actually detracting from what always was.
Yeah. Also, if they had just made this one blue, I would probably be nicer to it.
I think so. But also, like, he's a bird. You're surrounding him in bats. You're mixing your metaphors here, folks.
They really were.
So we'll say New 52, this suit at least for Dick was a D. Moving on, previously to the 90s, then there's this thing.
Yeah, this thing, which for a lot of people our age, this is the Nightwing they knew. This is the one they started with the big pronounced yellow. They almost look like bullet clips, but they're not. And the long ass hair, the long flowing hair.
Yeah, the 1992 suit continues the larger face mask. He looks like the Ultimate Warrior in this picture.
Yes, he does. And everyone was looking like that. That's the Image influence right there.
Yeah. I've seen more tame depictions of Dick in this suit, but I mean, this is really
Convergence actually had a good version of this, if I do recall, when he was running around in this, and it was a tamer, more toned down version in one of those stories.
Yeah. It's cool.
It's so 90s. I can't even be mad at it because I'm just like, you were so the time this was made, wasn't it? Oh,
exactly. I don't really even mind the yellow. I get it. I get kind of a gold idea out of this. I thought it's shiny, it fills up the whole back, by the way. Like, it looks like you got the kind of like implied, the V, which of course used to be a plunging V that just showed off his bare chest, but now it's a V that just comes to a point and it covers this one area, and you see the theme there, at least the echoing of it in the gauntlets and the boot toppers. He's going for something.
I believe the word for it. Yeah, I believe the word for it is extreme.
Also, he's got this logo of the Batman logo, but without the bat in the middle. Like that is a Nightwing, although that will be his logo now, is going to be this like kind of weird thing, this shape. I don't know. it's essentially just a scaled down Batman logo, but okay. Yeah, there's something here. Again, no one else in the DC universe looks like this.
Nope, and never would again.
And never would again. The longer hair. He does keep the like aqua boots, like the same color boots from his previous disco suit. Also, the yellow is like the yellow replaces most of the aqua.
Yes, it does.
In this suit, he gets a tactical belt as well, more like Batman. Yeah, it's something.
Actually, it's funny. I say no one ever looked like this again. Actually, I don't think that's true. Isn't Deathwing from around this time too? The evil Nightwing counterpart there? Isn't his suit just like a more corrupted version of this one?
Yeah, basically. It's horrible. It also is.
Yeah,
it's more of an interpretation of this meets his like 80s suit, because like we got to show off the bare chest for Deathwing. Of
course.
I mean, it's a whole thing. But yeah, Deathwing is like what this suit could have been, and so I'm going to give it higher marks.
Yeah, we really should.
Deathwing also, yeah, this speaks for itself. I mean,
it really everything about this is just okay. So you turned it up to 11. Now keep going a little bit.
Yeah, like he's got nipple piercings. Like, all right, it's just But as far as Dick's concerned and his Nightwing suit, I mean, this could be worse. We've seen worse. It's not so bad. I really don't. I don't hate it. I'm gonna say C.
I agree. I think history has been kind to this suit, actually.
Yeah. I think you're right. Then we go to Bloodhaven.
Yes, we do.
And I think we pretty much nail it. Like there's a lot here that I like, and somehow they are going to actually end up making this suit more scaled back.
Yeah,
like they're going to make it more iconic somehow.
They add by subtraction with Nightwing, which is really interesting because there are so few heroes where you can say they do that. They add by subtracting. Normally, heroes get more and more shit put on them, but Dick actually gives up more and more shit and becomes less burdened as time goes on.
So true. They add so much crap, and it's so rare to see it like not do that. But let me pull up his suit, because this is where people are like, like, I think you've got it.
Yep.
It's we make the mask a little smaller.
Yep.
We're kind of going backwards. We're getting back to the Domino mask, but we're still keeping the cool of his sharp Spawn-esque eyes.
He's cut his hair again.
Cut the hair a little bit. We replace that like yellow V thing he was doing with blue. And that's the only other color.
Still pointy, but yeah, we've broken it down to just black and blue, which is all you need. And again, cuts a hell of a silhouette.
Yes, it does. At the very least, it makes a good image. It's just, and we extend the one splash of color down the arms into the gloves. Yeah, I'm a sucker for that. Spider-Man does that, and it looks really good. It works really well.
Yeah, I was going to say, I guess Nightwing was one of the first adopters of that, too, right? If anything, his costume kind of speaks to Marvel-esque costuming ideals, doesn't it?
Absolutely, and I think that there's a little bit of method to that, because, of course, few Marvel characters have the capes, and we got to incorporate, like, a lot of ideas about who this character is in a very short amount of time, and like in one splash image. We're also living in a like post complicated world. Like we're in the 2000s.
Yeah.
We've seen what Nightwing looks like when we overdo it, or when we go really theatrical with it. Like here is a good version of that previous suit, by the way.
Yeah, where the chest piece is almost like wings under his arm. This is him at his most bird.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. You never go full bird. I'm not, and again, like I could see where they went. Like I kind of love because obviously it's supposed to be that his undersuit is black, but obviously in comics, if it was black, it would probably be matte and it wouldn't work, and it would be weird looking. So we got to go blue.
And because no one else in the Bat family wears gold at this point is the other thing too. He is the golden child of the Bat family.
I like that too. It's also like it could be that maybe Nightwing is sending a message because, of course, this is around the time when Batman's going to drop the gold disc behind his bat emblem, and Nightwing's like, "I'll take that. Like,
I'll take all of it.
I'll take the only bright part of your suit and make it the accent on my suit."
Because am I not your heart, Bruce? Am I not that splash of color? Am I not that light?
but I mean, this is Nightwing.
Yeah, and always will be.
This is S tier for me, like, because it's just 100%. You just nailed it, and I love the use of it and the thought behind it. It's just a smart suit. It works really well.
It's still not a bird yet. The logo's still not a bird yet. We're still experimenting with that. It's not quite a V. It's got some points to it.
Right. It's something, and I can imagine the conversations going where they're like, "What is this?" And they're like, "Oh, I don't know. It looks cool." Because it's not like Nightwing doesn't have a bird incorporated into his logo. There's a bird right above his name. They actually make the eye.
Is it at this point too? His batarangs changed from batarangs. What is it to like the birdarangs?
Yeah. But like, is his mask the logo? Is his mask a bird?
I mean, it's pointy like the chest.
His mask looks exactly like the logo in the title. I can imagine that they're like, yeah, no. The reason why he changed the mask, like, we give an actual storytelling device about like why his mask shifts so much. It's like, oh no, the mask is where I'm making my logo.
Interesting.
But again, S tier. I think that the 1995 Nightwing suit is just amazing. It works.
I'd say stop drilling, you hit oil, but they will keep drilling actually, and they will make some pretty sizable changes over the next little bit.
Oh, absolutely. No, honestly, like, that is a great looking suit.
Very.
Again, here's another one that completely like sells it. That's like, oh, this is what Nightwing looks like.
Yes, that's one of the most famous probably Nightwing's most famous cover, I'd argue.
Yeah, incorporating his batons, which have been consistent. He's had those batons since he basically started being Nightwing. But yeah. The only thing that doesn't necessarily work, I'm saying S because, like, for me, when you stray too far from this, you ruin it. But the only way you can actually make this better is by subtracting a little bit. And the subtractions that I would make are, you could see like he has kind of like these like flared out gloves. Like, it's more tactical boots and gloves. Those will change. And essentially what you'll see in the 2000s is just like, oh, he doesn't have those anymore. Like, it goes from that to something a little more scaled down.
There's also a lot of old school musculature there too. It's no, well, we got to accentuate the fact that he's got a 6-pack under this tight suit. I mean, come on, guys. What are we doing here?
Yeah, we need to know that. And I can imagine like people in like who were drawing him outside of his own book going like, does he have that? Like, does he have all this crap?
If anything in the future, will actually go the other direction where every artist will agree. It's like, no, the chest isn't where it's at for Dick, not great ass, like Al Pacino would say.
I mean, like, here's a later version where they did get rid of the like glove, separation. It's one suit. It's the Spider-Man suit where it's just like
it's all one material too.
One material. Yes. Like, this is where you're like, you've got it.
Sleek, simple, to the point, instantly iconic.
Yep. Again, this is also it's around this time that he'll start keeping the batons behind him.
Love it.
So he'll wear those, like, so that'll also kind of be an element of his suit. You can imagine. Yeah, exactly. Now, that's pretty much what the suit's going to look like for a good long time until the New 52.
It's true.
But we've strayed a little bit. There is a character that Joel invoked earlier, where essentially Deathstroke has a sidekick in Dick Grayson.
Yep, when he was Renegade, when he had to go undercover, man, with all these villains, and he needed a new, darker, edgier costume, which is basically like the red New 52 suit before the New 52 red
Exactly!
Suit.
So, essentially, the people in, like, 2005 were like, well, obviously, if Nightwing were bad, he'd be red. That would be the only way to go.
And then maybe that's why I'm so mean to the New 52. So I'm like, no, that's Renegade. No, when he's pretending to be a bad guy, he wears red. He's Renegade.
Right? I'm surprised Renegade didn't end up being his own character.
Right.
But at the same time, it is just Red Nightwing, though.
is all it is. And like there's some minor change, like he's wearing the Gambit head sock with the spiky hair coming up. He's got black gloves with the sharper edges.
With those sharp edges. Yeah. There's something there. This is a cool suit. It ain't Nightwing, but it is cool.
There's something to it. And again, like you said, I'm shocked no one else ever thought to pick it up. Again, if I was ever given the Nightwing book to write, I'd be, okay, how do I get a new Renegade in here? There's a new guy called Renegade running around, and Dick's like, I don't like that. Why? You stole that from my closet.
Absolutely. Oh, yeah, no, he would be Renegade. Like
it's also probably why I don't like the Red X retcons. I'm like, no. Nightwing did have a supervillainous moniker. It was Renegade. He was Renegade. Why don't you people remember Renegade? How many times do I have to say Renegade?
Yeah, this Renegade erasure will not stand.
No. And here's the thing. It's a bad story, actually. It's not very good. They didn't get the time to write the one that even the writers themselves went, yeah, we dropped the fucking ball on that one. And he was back to being Nightwing in basically no time.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So we saw the New 52 design. Oh, how do we rank Renegade? I think it's a B at least.
Yeah, again, maybe not good for Dick, but like good for someone to the point that they should definitely dust it off.
Yeah. There are other versions of the New 52 suit that we've not looked at quite as hard.
Yeah.
There's this one. It's just different coloration, but we still have the same crap. It's just, he looks like anybody. He looks like an action figure you get at the 5 and 10 that like is just like,
the eyes aren't red anymore. They've kind of, toned him down a little bit more. But like you said, now he has the opposite problem. Now he looks generic.
Yeah. He just looks like something.
And worse too, next to Batgirl, who I would argue actually probably ended up looking better than most of the Bat family, where it's like, oh well, this suit actually makes sense and actually looks pretty cool.
Like
now he's got red pockets on the side now, and now the red there's more red now than there was before.
Yeah, well, like you can see them going, oh well, I'll just do what they did with the 2000 suit, where you extend the logo down into the hands, but you still have all this crap. Like you look at the lower extremities, and you got all these lines, all these pockets, and all these points, and it's just
I think this was near the tail end of the Nightwing book too, before they'd cancel it and reboot it again too. So this was like they were just trying anything at this point.
Yes, but this is also the start of the bird.
Yes.
This is no longer an abstract logo that may be a V or something. It's a bird.
Yeah.
And of course, in the animated series, we're already echoing it by putting a friggin' bird on your chest and just saying it's a bird. Like, yeah, it's a bird. And, I don't hate the bird, but also a Nightwing isn't a bird. Like, I don't know what a Nightwing is supposed to be, but the fact that it doesn't need to be a bird is like the fun part.
Well, because it's the Nightwing and the Flame Bird, so like I assume the Nightwing has to also be a bird if it's hanging out with the Flame Bird, right?
I assume.
And flames are red, so the Nightwing has to be blue as well. Yes,
of course. So yeah, it's just it's nothing. I'm gonna say D as well. Like it never gets better. It's not like what they're doing is it's not good. But then Tom King and company take over. Tim Seeley, thank you.
Tom King was his co-writer at that point. Again, the King experience had barely started yet, and this was Tim Seeley, I think fresh off Hack Slash. I remember being like, "Oh yeah, the Hack Slash guy is writing a Nightwing book. Hell yeah!"
I know. And we got Grayson. Now, this isn't really a suit.
No, it's the opposite of the suit. It's the bucking of a suit completely, because suits are for superheroes, and he's not a superhero anymore. He's a super spy.
Right. Well, and I assume because I'm in charge of DC that if I get him out of the suit and I put him in this weird book, eventually his fans will just abandon him, and then I can kill him off properly.
Nope, the fans actually ended up really adopting it at a point, because Tim Seeley's great and Tom King had good ideas too.
Yeah.
And goddamn it ended up being a fun book that brought a lot of stuff from Spiral and the Morrison years back into it.
Yep. Oops. Don't put good talent on your book you want to fail.
Damn it. Yeah, we should have just put Scott Lobdell on it.
That would have helped with your agenda, but this is
oh no, wait, we will do that eventually.
Oh yeah. This is something. It's not Nightwing. I like he's wearing like an Under Armour shirt.
Yes. Now, if I recall too, the suit is still like unique to him because that's not like a spiral uniform because they all have their own shit going on. So that's just what Dick chose to wear that would be the most tactical for him.
That's right. It's nothing. It's an F. It's not a suit.
It's just Dick wearing clothes.
It's Dick wearing clothes. Clothes that definitely accentuate his best assets.
Yes, which in fact, a big chunk of that book is just all the girls at the Spiral Academy just, sexually harassing Dick.
Yeah.
But they have fun Scottish accents, so it's okay.
It's okay. And occasionally Barbara will also notice. But it's just Dick wearing it's just Dick going mountain biking.
Yeah, I don't hate it at all. It worked perfectly for that story. And as you can see in that picture of him hanging out there with
Superman,
shaved head Superman there. It was kind of the style at the time, man. We were all experimenting. We were all doing different stuff.
Yeah, we were all in a weird place in our lives.
Batman was a robot. Green Arrow was a werewolf for a minute, man. It was a crazy time.
Right? Remember that? So, yeah. Then we got 2016 Nightwing, where I think we've pretty much nailed it. We take everything that works about what Nightwing is, and then we put it in. Like, this is what Nightwing should always look like. This is another S tier design for Nightwing.
Back in blue.
We've got now it is a straight up bird, but this time instead of implying the bird at the bottom, we imply the bird at the top. We got a bird head. We do the shoulders, but we stop at the shoulders. Again, it's another completely different design. Blue mask. The mask is also embracing full bird.
He's got some patterns on his feet now.
He's got some patterns on his feet. He's got implied boots by having colors at the, at his shins,
which is kind of cool.
Yeah. Longer hair. More unkempt, but also returns to where it started.
Now this is also from the Taylor Redondo run. Again, there was another Tim Seeley run right after where he was back in Bloodhaven and back in blue as well.
Yes,
even before this. So again, there's like a long road they took to get here, but they finally got there.
Oh yeah. I should also mention there's another version that's like that. We'll get there. But yeah, that's like the 2016 to 2018 version. Implied boots, bird logo. It's more brought down, but they extended. It's funny, actually, in 2016, they started out where like the bird starts at the beginning of the shoulder, and then they wait, and then it goes over the shoulder like it was during the pre and New 52. I do miss the extension of the blue down the arms, but it's fine. And in fact, it will be brought back. Because I remember them doing that as well in the current Taylor Nightwing run.
Yes, in fact, we get a story reason for it too, where it's like, no, you need a bulletproof suit, you need an upgrade. So like, isn't it Wally who like gives him an upgraded suit?
Yeah. But we extended. I was also a big fan of the idea of not covering the hands, like just covering some of the hands. Just cool, just fun. It's a fun look.
Very fashion forward, very like streetwear.
Yeah. If you're talking about like the rebirth suit for Nightwing, where we were like finally back in blue.
There you go. That's the one.
Yeah, this is an A or a B.
Skinnier.
It's the logo skinnier. It doesn't go over the shoulder. It's now just this is going to be tough to reinterpret and draw. Like the boots are implied again, but they extend further down. B or C, I don't know. B.
Mostly we were just fucking stoked to have it back.
Yeah, everyone was just happy that he was not in red anymore, so let's just stick with it. And then we'll nail it later. Like we'll just once someone who loves the character takes over.
It keeps evolving.
It does. I mean, here's essentially what he looks like at this point, and it's just what he used to look like.
Yep. It was a long road to come right back to the beginning.
Yeah. And of course, because it's modern, we don't have time for nuance, subtlety. This is a sans serif era, so we're not going to have like, differentiation. There's straight lines. It's a V with a bird head on it. No swooshes, no cutouts. I could see it getting complicated and more complicated. I can see it getting more complicated as we go forward from here.
Hey, if we ever see this suit in a movie, you should probably use this one as your basis because it's pretty simple, right, guys?
It's pretty simple. Doesn't take much. Yeah, it works. let's see. And then one time Nightwing got shot in the head.
Yeah, he did.
By
KG Beast.
Yeah, by the KG Beast, because someone was mad that you didn't like him that you loved him as a spy, and then people who he worked for worked for him.
And then you got a big long Tim Seeley run that was well received, and we were mad about that. And we're like, well, we made you happy for too long, so it's time to make you sad again.
Yep, got to take it away from you because I know better. I know better. Trust me.
And like, look, it didn't work the last time we tried to sabotage it, but surely it will work if we sabotage it again. Now he won't even remember he was Dick Gray. He won't even remember he's the character. He'll be a brand new guy named Rick.
Yes, because I'm also like really hyper aware that you guys make fun of, because you guys think that saying Dick is funny.
Mm-hmm.
I know that there's going to be 1,000 comments right now about it. But here's the first Rick Grayson.
Jesus Christ.
Which is nothing. This is worse than the spiral suit. It's just nothing. There's nothing here.
He looks a little homeless. And also, we're going to give the book to famous sex pest Scott Lobdell, too, because we know if ruining the story preemptively didn't make you hate the book, giving it to a writer we know you hate and is only here because he's friends with one of the editors who will be ousted in a few years anyway, that'll really make you hate the book.
Oh, yeah. And you did.
Yeah.
But it didn't hurt the character. This is one of those weird things where it's like, if Spider-Man... if Spider-Man is like hurt by some new guy named Paul, suddenly, Paul sucks. But when Dick Grayson gets shot in the head and he's turned into Rick and he's a weirdo, people are like, oh, don't worry about that. That's that's editorial.
Yeah.
Like, people are mad at the right people at this point.
Yeah. It's very interesting. And also, like, we knew it wasn't going to last forever.
Yeah. And then he got this suit.
Oh, yeah, because there was like a bunch of Nightwings in that story, and it was like a whole thing. I wasn't reading. I have no fucking clue.
This is so horrible.
This wasn't Lobdell. This was I forget who they put on near the end of the book. It wasn't him for the whole run. For like the last volume and change, they put someone else on it.
Yeah. There's nothing here.
No,
it's just a mess. This is
the absence of a costume.
This is the absence of a costume. This is a costume by committee. This is like they asked someone in the mailroom to design it. This is a total.
This is a place. Fail. This looks like a placeholder. This is like insert finished costume here later, and then they just never came back and finished it.
That is exactly what that is.
And again, like here. The writer knew and the artist knew. It's like we're writing a deeply unpopular book that no one gives a shit about. So like, why even try? It's not like we're gonna win people over.
Yeah, no. There's nothing here. It's total F.
We're on autopilot. We're collecting checks. This is the check collecting suit.
It was like an intentional F. It was like they were like, make it worse, actually.
Yeah, for real.
And I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised.
Self-sabotage.
Exactly. Dick was also a Talon.
He was never officially a Talon. This was like in weird visions and dreams, but the suit technically counts.
Yeah, it counts.
Because we saw it more than once. We saw it a few times, actually.
We did.
They like to pull this out.
Yeah, the Talon suits are cool.
They really are.
They're cool. I like it. I'm not against it.
And it's William Cobb's suit because in his retconned origin, Grayson, the Grey Son, and their own connection to the court and everything that they pull out every so often.
Yeah. This is cool.
It is. Again, I was gonna say, again, if they ever do like a Across the Spider-Verse, but for Nightwing, he should totally meet the Talon version of himself. That would be
totally, yeah. Like if you like the Talon suit at all, like if you like what Talon looks like, then you'll like the Dick as Talon suit.
It's also basically just the William Cobb suit, who's like his great uncle anyway.
Exactly. There's also that time that apparently in Future State, Dick became a like a Deathstroke-esque version of himself, which incorporates.
This was literally one page. He had this on the final page. He put the mask on, and then they never went back to this because Tim Sheridan's run got cut short because he was a TV writer writing comics for the first time.
Yeah, awesome. This is something funny and interesting because it takes the bird, but adds the yellow.
Yep.
And makes the yellow into the bird, and that's something I'd like to see. I'd like to see like a modern today version of the like 90s suit.
Hey, we got a new run coming up soon. Maybe that's what
right?
they'll do.
I mean, they'll probably. I mean, with Dan DiDio out, at least you'll know that Dick Grayson won't be shot or beaten, and then his identity ousted, and somehow people will not figure out that Bruce Wayne's Batman as a result.
Yeah, nah,
This is nothing. This is just an amalgam character, basically. There's nothing here.
It's one, and also the orange really clashing with the yellow that he's wearing here. It's like, if he's gonna do that, then the eagle should also be orange.
The eagle should be orange. Yeah, exactly. There's nothing here. That's a D. It's a hat on a hat. There's nothing.
That was a panel that existed solely for people like us to screen cap and show on Twitter, so more people would maybe buy the book.
100, or the McFarlane figure if there was one.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Apropos of that bulletproof suit you talked about, like incorporating a flying squirrel-esque web wing type thing to Nightwing suit is that like can, as long as it retracts,
and it does.
I am A-okay with this idea.
How long did it take them to give him wings, right, to actually finally own the bird theming?
Right? I can't.
Like 30 years?
Yeah, since his beginning.
Like 30 goddamn years before him to finally have it. I dig it too, and also I'm a sucker for web wings on Spider-Man too. I know that's where we differ, but I'm like, yeah, more under wings to explain the gliding. Yes, please.
Right? I love it. People reminded me of the Future State version of Grayson, where he had a suit.
Oh yeah, when it was like it was a Russian spy story, because I cannot believe I remember this. He got sent in undercover to the Russian government, and then Future State happened, so he got stuck undercover and he wasn't able to leave Russia, so he became Dick Grayson of Russia.
Yeah. Cool.
I think he dies at the end of that one too.
Yeah, I think so too. This is nothing. I mean, it's just him in a t-shirt with that's Russia themed.
It is a little Winter Soldier, which is funny.
It's a little Winter Soldier, yeah. On someone else, it could work, but again, it's not gonna be on anyone else, so who cares?
Talk about another famous sidekick who broke a bunch of rules and ultimately became his own man with his own identity.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's a C or a D. I mean, there's nothing there. It's not complicated and ugly like the like that tactical suit from I want to say it was Future State or whatever. Future's End.
Yeah, or no, the Russian one was
that was Future State.
This is Future State.
Is this? Yeah, that was Future's End. This is Future State.
There's too many future stories.
Exactly. Don't close Nightwing's helmet. Like, don't give him a helmet. Don't close it off. Don't give him a tactical mask. Don't make the bird and stuff into tactical gear. This is a Gotham Knights suit, basically. This is
very injustice. This belongs in a video game.
Yeah, I hate it. It's like if you took off all of his accoutrements, he'd just be wearing a full body sock. It's
right.
There's nothing here.
But how do you know it's a dark future, Sal, if we don't put way more armor on them?
Exactly. Yeah, I don't care, and I'm not interested. These are superheroes. This is all fake. Doesn't matter. It's pretty weak.
Ooh, I think Nightwing had a good like Game of Thrones one in Dark Crisis when they were all putting on like fun suits. He basically got to be Jon Snow. He got to have a Jon Snow.
Oh yeah, it's Jon Snow Nightwing. Yeah, I remember that. That was fun.
Nightwing and his crew basically going LARPing.
I think that was death metal, right?
Yes, it was. It was one of the deaths. It was one of the crises. He got to be a Jon Snow for a minute.
Yeah. Jon Snow Nightwing. I remember that.
Where I'm like, that's fitting. If he was going to be any character, he's going to be that one.
Oh yeah.
And like, I think Mr. Freeze got to go shirtless in that one because Gotham got taken over by ice. And he's like, oh, this is great. I get to walk around.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, Jon Snow Nightwing. Here we go.
There we go.
Yeah, it's something. It's cool. It's cool enough. It's part of an alternate dark future or present or something. I'll say B. I don't
Beard's
care.
Not bad.
It's blue. It's not blue. It's gray.
Yeah,
but he's Grayson, so I guess that works.
I kind of dig the beard because Nightwing has been clean shaven basically his entire career. He grows out his hair, but not his beard.
Yeah. That's true. I like someone calling him Nightwing with a K. That's great. Yeah. And then there's a lot of like alternate reality versions we're not really going to get into, but let's jump into some super chats really quick. Yes. Let's see here. Tevia says, Rick Grayson versus Tim New 52 suit, which is worse? That's a good question. I mean, like, Rick Grayson's suit is nothing, whereas Tim's Red Bird suit is at least an attempt at an idea. It sucks, but it's just, At least it's an idea.
To quote the cinematic masterpiece that was Alien versus Predator, whoever wins, we lose.
That's very true. Jackson Boyd, hello, Sal and Joel. I've been abroad, so I haven't been as plugged in. What are the biggest trends and news in comic book world? And what are the best ongoings right now? Love the content. Keep it up. Rick Grayson's the best. Dick Grayson's the best Robin.
I mean, all X-Men right now. All X-Men, everything, all the time. New books, the show.
Yeah. Batman, Superman World's Finest, Nightwing, the House of Krypton, the Penguin book is great. The Energon universe, people are very into that right now. Batman
like
Offworld is really cool. Miles Morales is the best Spider-Man ongoing right now. Yeah, it's good.
I forgot Offworld came out this week too. It took a long break, but it's actually back now.
Sure did. I forgot about, like, speaking of, I don't want to talk about like alternate reality versions, but like this, you remember when you remember that like awful Tales from the Dark Multiverse, the last one where Dick became this.
Oh yeah, wow.
The Dragon Slayer. It's horrible.
Yep, I memory holded that one.
Yeah, that's, I mean, like, who's gonna care? Who could possibly care? Hayden Hamilton, Bruno's newest suit is the best it's ever been. Excited to see Grayson falling. The beard looks sick. Also, Bermejo Robin suit is perfect. Oh, the Bermejo suit.
I forgot Bermejo did one, but I'm sure it is good because Bermejo does good costuming.
Yeah, it's more real and it's darker, but it also takes the concept and goes like, yeah, this is what he's supposed, like, this is what it would look like if it was like happening.
That is his talent.
Exactly. He's a real talent. Let me pull that up here. It is more real, but it's still super fun.
Somebody in the chat said Rockwing the Barbarian. yeah, that's what it looks like. Good call, Jam Call X. Good call.
Yeah. There you go. Here's it's a good looking. His suit's his cape's a little long, but like, it's just Robin if you made his suit out of garbage. Yeah,
shorts, and he's got knee pads to protect his precious knees.
Well, you got to take care of your knees.
Mm-hmm.
Fable says, bring back Disco Wing Man, best Nightwing suit. I hear what you're saying. I understand. Hey, I think today I would love to see Dan Mora draw it.
Right. Hey, they're going to be doing a new run after this next arc, so you might get your wish. Maybe Dick decides, you know what, Disco's back.
Yeah.
That's the tagline. Nightwing, Disco's back.
Cat Lawyer, my first Nightwing comic, had the black and gold with the ponytail where he's fighting some Manhunter guy, and I thought he was the coolest looking hero. That is exactly right. That's exactly right. You were the target demographic, man. It's same here. Jam Call X, New 52 Robin was basically Dick in space. Like, he watched the Gotchaman OVA and told Alfred that, but without a bird visor.
Oh my God, he is a Gotcha Man. Holy shit. Yes, he is.
Yeah. Wario Scapelli. Speaking of Grayson as Batman, personally, I enjoy his Earth 2 Society costumes, mostly because of Jorge Jimenez. That's fair. Yeah, that's cool. The Earth. Here, I'll pull up a picture. Earth 2 Society. Grayson.
I was sure there were some like alternate universes I was forgetting. Like, I was thinking, did he put on a new suit in Nightwing New World Order, or did he just look like himself in that one?
I looked it up. He basically just looks like himself. But this is the one that Wario's talking about.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yes, right. When he got to become Batman on the other planet. Yeah, a lot more gold for it, a lot more purple in there. Yeah, I don't hate that. It's very different. I like that they're taking chances with this one.
Exactly.
They're swinging for the fences on this one, which was always the best part of Earth 2 Society.
Right.
Also, hey, Tom Taylor.
Yep. Who'd have thought? The Capes of Coat. That's pretty fun. It's a lot of stuff, especially below the belt. But I'm like, yeah, it would grow on me. I'd need more time. New 52 armor, according to Cat Lawyer, was there to protect him from Didio. It didn't work.
No.
KT83976. Before I dip, I had to say that after hours of grinding in Injustice 2, the red Nightwing suit is a Damian suit to me. That's fair.
They have like 100 suits in Injustice for all of them.
Oh yeah, the Captain Coon New 52 Renegade is one cape away from the Batman and Robin costume. Yeah.
Oh my God, how did I never see it before? The red is totally the Batman and Robin suit.
Oof. Extra medium. Renegade is just streamlined Nightwing.
Nightwing.
Yeah. Psycho the Psycho. I wonder if we seldom see the actual Nightwing bird because it's a little close to the Phoenix logo. We have seen it. I know they really put it in there in Teen Titans Go or Teen Titans, like the Teen Titans animated series when you see that dark future. That's just the Phoenix logo, but it's blue. Nuber 375. The beginning of Taylor's run is best. The darker blue on the Rebirth design is top tier. Every Redondo suit is peak. I agree. Redondo can do no wrong.
Hell yeah.
Scarlet Hottie, any suit Richard Glutman Grayson wears is fantastic. Agreed, as long as they don't get it in the way.
No, of course
those
not.
Fabulous glutes.
Got to show off the assets.
That's right. But there you have it. That's at least most of the in canon Dick Grayson suits that we have ranked as far as best and worst. We have more. I think we have more S's than ever in this.
It's true. Like, it speaks to the quality of Nightwing's suits over the years.
Yeah. And it's interesting because it's such a simple design. It's essentially a black silhouette with a splash of color. Usually it's like a V. I can imagine that Bruce Timm was probably, when he was designing his version of Nightwing, was like, I want to use as few lines as possible. Like, indeed. I want to see if I can do it in one stroke or two strokes. And that's it.
And I guess simple really is best, especially in a day and age when it feels like all the new suits we see are just way too over-designed and way too busy.
Absolutely. It's always best. Simple's always the best. Err on the side of caution, because, like, you could always add to it, but, like, you don't want to have to take it all off unless you do, like, a fun, like, story arc where it's like, there's all this crap, and then he's fighting somebody, and it's in the way, and he strips it all off, and it becomes the iconic suit. Similar to how Gordon dipped out of the bunny suit.
This is
and
true.
Then, like, and you were like, oh, I like that.
Yeah, there's a cool one. Yeah, again, Kratos from God of War, very famously in interviews, that's how they arrived at his very sleek, very easy design, which again is very Nightwing-esque, all white with a shock of red instead of all black with a shock of blue. And they said, yeah, we asked everyone to, to draw a big angry man character, and then we just took away till we were at the bare essentials.
Yeah, I think that's we're hitting on something really fundamental about character and particularly superhero design. But thank you so much to our super chatters for sponsoring today's show. Thank you to our regular chat for being cool and sharing your thoughts and being respectful to each other all over the place in this chat. We want to thank you so much for watching, and of course, watch Cape Joel at youtube.com/Cape Joel if you want more Cape Joel. And I should have mentioned this at the top of the show, that on May 3rd, we're doing another live show, but this time with myself and Joshua Williamson. We're doing a full-on live, like, marathon of the All-Stars show, where we're going to be talking for about 4+ hours.
Oh, shit.
Celebrating the fact that Josh and I have been doing that show for over a year.
Hot damn.
Which is hard to believe that, like, noted and celebrated comic book author was like, I want to be a part of I want to hitch my wagon to your horse. I was like, what? So check out that show. It's happening. We're gonna have surprise guests and special appearances and all kinds of leaks and spoilers and teases and arts. There's gonna be a lot of stuff happening on that show.
Am I gonna find what's going on in Green Arrow?
Oh, I think Green Arrow will definitely be coming up. There's no doubt in my mind. I mean, Green Arrow is just such a good book, and it's definitely worth reading. Yeah, Sean Isaac's art is amazing, and Green Arrow.
And it's more important now than ever for Absolute Power and all the other events, so you should really be reading it.
Yeah, if you want to know what's going on in DC or what's the most important thing happening in DC, then you need to be reading Green Arrow. And you'll be rewarded for it. It's a fun book.
Yeah, and also keep reading it so Joel can continue to have his favorite hero be printed who doesn't always get printed.
It's true. So check out that show. We will tease you more throughout, but of course, make sure to follow our socials, or at least check out the community tab on this channel for updates about what's going on. And we'll see you guys next time with another episode of the Elseworlds Exchange. I remain Sal.
And I'm still Joel.
I'll see you guys next time. Thanks a lot, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.